In 1994, if the brake pads wore out on your Ford F-150, you walked into the auto parts store, spent $30 on a set of pads, and changed them in your driveway with a socket wrench on a Saturday afternoon. Your father did it. His father did it. It was the most basic repair in the history of the automobile. Now compare that to what happened last year. A man bought a brand new truck, took it to the track like the manufacturer told him to, wore out his brake pads, and went to his garage to swap them. His truck told him no. The electronic parking brake would not retract without a proprietary diagnostic computer that costs $6,000. The alternative required $2,000 in hardware, a $60 a week software subscription, and a business license. When he tried to register, the system blocked him. The message said, "Do-it-yourselfers are not permitted access." Think about that. You spent $65,000 on a pickup truck, and the manufacturer will not let you change your own brake pads. This is not a glitch. This is a business model. In this investigation, we are going to expose the software lock scam, the secure gateway conspiracy, and the subscription trap that has turned your truck
year in salary, and you can't figure out how to make up a $567 a month shortfall. This is a budget problem you cannot solve. You're an expert on financial statements and you run a $2.6 trillion bank. I know you're good at numbers, and you've shared lots of opinions recently about how the U.S. should budget its resources, how families should budget their resources. And so I'd like to ask for your help on a problem. I went to Monster.com and I found a job in my hometown of Irvine at JP Morgan Chase. It pays $16.50 an hour. And so I wondered if I could, if you'd indulge me, when you do the math on this and you do the $16.50 out at 40 hours a week for 52 weeks a year, it comes out to an income of $35,070. Now this bank teller, her name is Patricia. She has one child who's 6 years old. She claims the one dependent after tax. She has $29,100. We divide that by 12. She rents a one-bedroom apartment. She and her daughter sleep together in the same room. In Irvine, California, that average one-bedroom apartment is going to be $1,600. She spends $100 on utilities. Take away the $1,700, and she has net $725. She's like me. She drives a 2008 minivan and has gas. $400 for car, expenses, and gas, net $325. The Department of Agriculture says a low-cost food budget, that is ramen noodles, a low food budget is $400. That leaves her $77 in the red. She has a Cricket cell phone, the cheapest cell phone she can get for $40. She's in the red $117 a month. She has after-school childcare because the bank is open during normal business hours. That's $450 a month. That takes her down to negative $567 per month. My question for you, Mr. Diamond, is how should she manage this budget shortfall while she's working full-time at your bank?
Hey, Shalom, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yehoshai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. I want to say double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob Mott for the Nebraska campus is GMS, and he pushing the mark. Yeah, man, I have a few clips, a couple clips in here to show you how, capitalism works, and also how, this conspiracy, which means to breathe together, all right, meaning a bunch of people coming up with one idea, all right, to do one thing and act like that it was divided, all right. But the thing is capitalism. The structure of it is funneling people into the MOTB, okay? And I'm always get on it, man, because it needs to be said that these exterior Israelite camps, they're stuck on who's Israelites and what the Lord's name is, which shouldn't even be an argument because it's Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right? And they all know it, all right, specifically Nate. But he doesn't want to admit it, But outside of that, getting back into the video, which, is going over, how, with the brakes, they got it to the point that you can't DIY it, you can't do it yourself. And that reminds me, get this precept real quick. And Deuteronomy 28 and 48, Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. And Deuteronomy 28 is, where the curses lie at, contrary to vocab's agreement or understanding. This is where the core of understanding and proof that we're Israelites, because we fall and suffer from all these, okay? And that's from doing what? Going off from the law. Deuteronomy 28:48 says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. You know what I'm saying? And now one might say, well, everybody got to do the breaks. Everybody got to do this. You know, capitalism don't care about none of that. But for one, we're not supposed to be suffering this at all. You know, even though Edom and all the other heathens are suffering it, but the poor, suffers, okay? Because the poor can't afford those breaks to be going to a dealership, getting hit over the head when you could do something. I went to a dealership and they wanted to change my brakes. And they was like, well, over here, when we change brakes, it's our policy to change the rotors, so it's gonna be $300. Go to, the hood mechanic, you buy the brakes, and he just want $20 in a 6-pack. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that it's capitalism. They put it to where you have to go to them. All right, grocery stores. That's capitalism. You know, you can grow food in your backyard. You could buy a chicken, but they create laws and things that you can't do that. All right, that's why apartments exist. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to get rid of independency. That's why they're doing so much to the farmers, because they want people dependent on the government. All right, that's why. You buy a movie, ain't on DVD no more, it's streaming. Because why? Because they could take it away. You're going to be dependent on the government. You got to pay Netflix constantly. All right, that's the idea of capitalism, is recurring payments. Okay, you got to keep renewing stuff. You got to keep paying them. You like it said. Let me see. Let me get the quote. So this is a quote, I believe, a phrase published by the World Economic Forum and based on a 2016 essay by the Danish politician Ida Auken about a future in which a hypothetical person relies on the sharing economy for many of their needs. The phrase from the article, welcome to 2030, all right, and we're in 2026, and the philosophies expressed within it have been used by critics who accuse the World Economic Forum of desiring restrictions on ownership of personal property. And the quote is, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Alternatively, you'll own nothing and be happy." All right. And the reaction during the pandemics is, although Auken's essay was published more than 3 years before the pandemic, the phrase gained currency among critics of the World Economic Forum after the organization announced the Great Reset initiative for global economic recovery after the pandemic. Jim Gregathy Girardi wrote in National Review, referring to the World Economic Forum, "Very few of us see owning our own homes, owning our own cars, and owning our own clothes as a major problem to be solved. The source of crisis requires Danish legislators." Now, the thing is that the American dream was that you own your house, own your car, own your land, but they took that away. You know, it's already like you don't own the land, you own the house that's on the land, and then you got to pay certain taxes, and if you don't pay the taxes, if you own a house or the land, I think in Louisiana you can own the land and the house. You know, when you buy the house, you own the land as well. But the point is, they create that separation. Then you got to pay tax. If you don't pay the taxes, then they could take it back. You know, just like you're driving your car, it's not a right, it's a privilege. All right. All these invisible restrictions are going to manifest themselves once Jacob's trouble come. All right, because it says a man shall not be able to go into another city because of the lack of bread, and the lack of bread is a lack of resources. All right, and people are not going to be able to go here or there, because even in Europe, they're using their traffic lights to scan license plates and charge people for inner city driving based off of them laying down a carbon footprint and blocking up traffic. So they have their quote unquote excuses and reasons, and it sounds good, but ultimately it's controlling people. All right, face recognition. You know, Americans so free and they won't do that, but they're going down the same path as China. All right, you go on Walmart, there's face recognition everywhere. It's just that it's not a legislation to where they can use that to track you, but they're doing it anyway. They're just not going to be blatant with it until they pass a law, and all it takes is some type of mass event. Just like today they had a mass shooting in Louisiana, all right, in the Louisiana Mall, all right, and there was a guy that was arrested that was on his way for a mass shooting with a fucking handgun. The fuck you gonna do a mass shooting with a handgun? But the point is that it's gonna take something catastrophic for them to say, okay, in order to stop these type of people, it's good for us to be able to face recognition them while they're on a computer. We seen them search how to do this and how to do that, and we've been seeing it, the Manchurian Candidate type of thing, to where they'll sit there and say, hey, we seen you on the computer searching this up, we seen you over at this, and all this points to you being a mass shooter, and we seen this very same person over here, and we could have stopped them only if we were able to use this technology how we want to use it. And then people are going to say, yeah, go for it. My cousin was in that mall. My sister, blah, 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 was in that mall. It's the same song and dance. All right, these people don't care nothing about human life. All right, if that was the case, cancer treatment wouldn't be so expensive. If that was the case, salads wouldn't be so expensive and pork wouldn't be so cheap. Okay? If that was the case, they wouldn't put all these preservatives and additives into the foods. All right? If that was the case, they'll let you homeschool your children. All right? There's so many things that's, there have been a shutdown of Catholic Church from all the kids being, raped. All right? They'll shut down a lot of facilities and programs because it's not good for humans. They'll stop selling cars. The amount of people that die in them. All right? The only thing they're concerned about is gain. This is a capitalistic country, and they're greedy of gain. And they're willing to say and do anything to disguise it as humanitarianism. Hell, all these demons, Gil Bates, these demons that go around trying to find new ways to gain more control and get their tentacles on things, always disguise themselves as philanthropists. Always. All right? The Rockefellers, philanthropists. Gil Bates, philanthropist. The Rothschild, the son that was on he had the boat full of empty plastic bottles and want to go across the ocean in it and shit. Philanthropist. When in all reality, your ass is going, Bill Gates is going from computers to agriculture so he can control it. Now he want to put out CO2 trees. All right? But the point is that they use these systems to create recurring payments to where you can't escape the grasp. We're constantly having to go back to the register of America. All right? And if that's the case right now, how much more of a stronghold when it's MOTB come out? When it's manifested? All right? When it's mandated? Okay? Like I said, going to an amusement park, you gotta, half the stuff that you really want is online. You try to go get some shoes, they got all the crappy shoes in Foot Locker, but now you gotta go online to get them and do a raffle and all this. Everything is online. Amazon got everything you need. All right? They're gonna consolidate everything eventually. Ain't gonna be no, this site. This is only gonna be Amazon. Ain't gonna be no Hy-Vee. It's only gonna be Walmart, the grand Walmart. And you're gonna be able to You ain't gonna ever see. You ain't gonna walk through no grocery store, no grocery baskets. That's gonna be a thing of the past. They're gonna drop it off at your front door because it's already in process. They don't want you going nowhere. You're going nowhere. They want full control. Okay? And while this is happening, you got niggas arguing about who are Israelites and who are not. That's such a base level argument. You know, while vocab is out here trying to attack us, you know, meanwhile these people are bombing, creating laws to restrict freedoms, doing demonic things. And he had nothing to say about Trump. They love Jesus. Vocab loved Jesus. And he had nothing to say about Trump when he did what he did. But Israelites is the worst thing on since you know, the worst thing to come out, and it has to be eradicated according to vocab. Now he's a paid opposition, man. All right. But I want to get this verse and we'll end it here. All right. So when we go into the book of Daniel, Salakia, the book of Daniel's, Salakia, book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 6 says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his." You had this land, Babylon, Babylon technically, America. It was home of the Gadites, all right, in a bunch of lands. Then it took Africa, you know, I forget his name. What was it? Maratazar. I forget the name, but it escapes me right now. But they took Africa, you know, the Hamites land, all right, through colonism. They took Ethiopia through colonism, all right. They take lands and name them after their own names, okay, right? So they went throughout the earth, taking the fatness of the earth, the oil, all right, resources, all right, and converting them over to democracy, all right, to ultimately control them, because they learned that tactic from the Assyrians and Alexander to not totally obliterate a country, but to reset their regime and make them pay their taxes, because they found out that you can get more money out of these people when you let them be, and you just have somebody that you can control on a seat. That's always happened. That happened with that's how Hezekiah got in his seat. All right, when Josiah got taken out, you know, and Shiloh got put in, and then Hezekiah got put in, ultimately believing that he was going to be like a puppet king. Okay, so these tactics always been used. All right, just like when Alexander took over Babylon, he didn't just shut it down. He let them people keep their culture, keep their gods, all right, to make them feel inclusive. Okay, which makes them say, okay, well, I could pay taxes. It's nothing different, you know, until something different happens, until you hear legislation that you got to take the MOTB, or the legislation that you can't do this anymore or do that anymore. And then you're so knee deep, you can't just hop up and leave. Can't say, oh, I don't want to do this deal no more. And that's what happens to a lot of nations, man, because they drink of wine and the nations get mad. Because they start realizing, damn, hold up, man, it's not what it cracked up. But getting back to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6, it says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." Right? It says, I want to read the NLT because it says some real heavy. It says, "But soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, What sorrow awaits you thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on?" And it's not going to go on for long, because they're going to ultimately try to extort you through your life. You want to live? You better take this MOTB. Yeah, well, they're going to give you MOTB. You want to live? You got to follow by our rules. Okay? Once they fully brand you, they can cut you off and give you life through the resources and food. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But they also cut you off and by releasing whatever they got in that chip and it cut you, really shut you down. Or they could just shut your chip off and you have no access to nothing, And that's what they want to get to. They want to be, they're using their AI technology as the angels, just to be the all-seeing eye, their technology, all right? Their strength is in their law of justice, which is all over the place, all right? At one point, we was 3/5 of a human. Another point, women weren't allowed to do this. When the Lord's judgment is divine, okay, it's still the same. If a man lie with another man, should surely be put to death. All right, it's just not being exacted because we're not in power. All right. So the point is that Esau tried to play the Most High, sit up on the throne as the Most High, sit on the people as the Most High, and think himself as to be the Most High. And this is being revealed, and also his horns is being revealed with all the wickedness that he's doing to get all this control, to extort people. Okay, just like with these oil prices, they're extorting people. Okay, and people see it. It's like, why is the oil price going up? It ain't got nothing to do with the housing market. The medical industry. Okay, all extortion, man. Forcing people to pay for car insurance, for health insurance, and you'll say, well, you got to pay for it. Look, why don't you could just force me to take my money and take my money and force it into an account till I get to a certain amount to where my insurance it could register me as whatever. Pretty much the money I'm $300 a month that I'm paying $200 a month. You could just take that and funnel it into a universal or account that's specified to me, and say, hey, this would level you. So if you pretty much got 10,000 saved up, you ain't got no accidents, then you're a silver. You go up to 30,000, you're a platinum, then 50,000, and that should be your credit score, right? You can sit there and say, well, I got this, I paid my insurance, I never got no car wreck. That means I'm responsible enough to handle. You could come up with ideas and ways to share your wealth and share what you have, but they're not trying to share what they have. That's why they got car lots that come out with cars every fucking year, because they want you to keep buying. They want you to keep buying. That's why there's grocery stores. That's why there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They want you to keep buying. That's why there's schools, because they want you to keep buying. They want to educate you, but educate you enough that you can be a banker, a business manager, all right, a doctor, all right. But you're never going to be someone that's an innovator, all right, that creates a new thing. That's over with. That was the American dream. You can say, oh, like I said, with the tobacco companies, Newport. Ain't no more tobacco companies coming out. Ain't no more television companies coming out. All right, so that American dream is bullshit. All right. You sitting here trying to make a business. You want to have a taco stand. You got to go to Esau to get the meat. You can't grow no lamb in your backyard. You can't sit there and press your own tortillas. You're going to have to go to your enemy at some point for some type of want. Even if you got everything organically, you're going to still have to get a receipt to come out here and sell it to people. A certificate to sell it to people. And you have to keep renewing that, So, Esau ultimately, this is not by mistake. This is by design. This ain't by trying to help people out, because there's ways you could definitely help people out. There's, and I'm not into this political shit, but the free healthcare thing, like Canada has free healthcare. So stop acting like it's impossible. You know what I'm saying? Like Canada has free health. Well, Canada don't got Doritos. They're like, shut up, man. We're talking about if it's possible or not. But that's how Esau is. He'll never settle on the truth. Truth is not a destination for the devil. So once you start saying free healthcare is impossible, well, Canada's doing it just to say that it is possible. Then they're gonna try to move the goalposts and like, well, like I said, well, Canada don't got shooting ranges and all that. You want to go over to Canada and suffer with that? That ain't the point, motherfucker. The point is it economically possible? Yes, it is. It's proof. But you'll go into science and prove like this is why we should destroy Jake, because it's proof that he's done. If people that at this age that read at this level that stay over here normally do this, and they should be treated like that. You could put that 2 and 2 together, but you can't put 2 and 2 together to bring out any good nature. You know, and that's why he is the devil. All right, and the earth will continue to mourn long as he is in rulership, because he just want to control everything. And it's not like you just want to drain everybody of their life force. You know, you want to drain them of their happiness. You want to drain them of their ideas. You want to drain them of you know, their energy of working, their passion. You know, you want a motherfucker to be a employee of the month over at your job, when all that energy could be going towards, you know, to that person's family, you know, in these times toward the gospel. All right. The whole idea of the 40-hour work week by Ford was to make sure that Jake was too tired to work for themselves, man, to do anything for themselves. You do enough to get by, and you're too tired to do anything else outside of that. That's what the 40-hour work week was built around. This is how deep that this devil conspire when y'all want to talk about some conspiracy nuts and you don't get all of that conspiracy. Then why do you believe that we're Israelites? And that Esau is the devil? That's a conspiracy. All right, in this modern time. Niggas got selective shit that they want to believe in. That's all that is. But I don't want to drag it out because them niggas ain't going to change, you know. But the point is, getting back to the point is that, you know, Esau has everybody in the trick bag, and eventually, you know, they're going to just roll out that MOTB once they got everything lined up and mapped out for people, man. You know, cars, you know, like you don't own that. All right, you're not going to be owning cars eventually because they got all these electronic cars. What the hell are they going to use you on the road for? Your ass going to get in that electronic car. It's going to take you where you're going to go. Get your ass out. Scan. That's your carbon footprint. You know, everything you do is going to be tracked and quantized, you know, into data. And you're going to be judged based off of it. He's going to try to play the Most High. Oh, you walked over here. You went over here and ate this. You're a threat to society. You know? But, yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. With that being said, I want to give our praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Recha HaKodash, that my honest apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.